Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Smackdown and AEW Rampage review. Smackdown tonight was from the XL Center in Hartford, Connecticut, while AEW Rampage was taped at the Chartway Arena in Norfolk, Virginia. And Smackdown tonight, this was their go-home show for Survivor Series, which is this Sunday. And Smackdown tonight was a awful show. It was horrible. Smackdown tonight. WWE has done a terrible job in building for Survivor Series. This has been the absolute worst Survivor Series build ever. But what do we get on Smackdown tonight? We had a fatal four-way match. The winner will get to be on Team Smackdown this Sunday at Survivor Series. So it was Sheamus versus Cesaro versus Ricochet versus Jinder Mahal. We had Shayna, Baszler, and Natalya versus Aliyah and Naomi. We had Shinsuke Nakamura versus Angel Garza. Sasha Banks versus Shotzi. And then we had Jeff Hardy versus the Riddler, Madcap Moss. But overall, Smackdown tonight was a awful fucking show. Absolutely terrible. But before I start the review, if you guys haven't checked out my previous video that I uploaded earlier today, my review of Wednesday's Dynamite is up. So if you guys haven't checked out my review of it, definitely go check it out. So Dynamite review is up on the channel. And also I want to give my thoughts on the news that broke out last night. WWE once again releasing superstars. They struck again with that, and they released 8 superstars. So I'm going to read you all the names of those that got released yesterday by WWE. So we had Hit Row. Hit Row was released yesterday. You know, the last release they released B-Fab, and now yesterday they released Top Dollar, Ashanti Adonis, and Isaiah Swerve Scott. So Hit Row is gone. They are now officially Death Row. Because B-Fab, like I said, B-Fab was released in the last round of releases by WWE, and now we have Top Dollar, Ashanti Adonis, and Isaiah Swerve Scott. All 3 of them released. This was such a waste of WWE to draft Hit Row from NXT to SmackDown. That whole draft pick was absolutely fucking pointless. Now, what a waste. They come up to SmackDown, and then, B-Fab got released, and now they're they were rapping with Sami Zayn, and look at what happened now. Hit Row, gone. All of them. Fucking pointless. How WWE drafted them from NXT to SmackDown, and this happens. And then they released John Morrison. John Morrison, you know, since he came back to WWE, he has been paired with The Miz, and that is all what John Morrison did in his WWE return, was just be paired with The Miz. And then as The Miz went on to do Dancing with the Stars, they give John Morrison a meditating thing where he's finding his inner chi. That's all they have for John Morrison. So he got released. Hopefully he signs with AEW. He could go to AEW, and we could see the John Morrison that he once was in Lucha Underground when he was Johnny Mundo. You know, hopefully he signs with AEW, and he could do whatever he wants there. You know, he could be once again the Johnny Mundo that we saw in Lucha Underground. That version was the true version of himself when he was in Lucha Underground. I mean, look how well he was in Lucha Underground. So hopefully we get that version of John Morrison, Johnny Mundo, if he signs with AEW. And then Drake Maverick. Drake Maverick was another one that was released by WWE. This is the second time WWE has fired him. Drake Maverick, he came into the company. He was the GM of 205 Live. And then he got brought up to Monday Night Raw. He was managing the Authors of Pain. You know, you remember the Authors of Pain. And there was that one time where he stole Robert Roode's robe. And he was pissing on it in the bathroom. Yeah, that was fucking awful. That happened on Monday Night Raw. And then, I guess he got fired. And then Triple H signed him to NXT. And he was teaming with Killian Dane. And then now we see him on Monday Night Raw. And he was chasing after the stupid garbage 24/7 title. So, and then he did release a video. Drake Maverick released a video, I guess thanking the fans, for watching him when he was in WWE. So it's up on his social media, his Twitter. I think he posted on Instagram. So Drake Maverick released from WWE for a second time. And then Shane Thorne. Shane Thorne was released. He was Slapjack, Flapjack when he was a part of Retribution, so he's gone. Tegan Knox was also released. I like Tegan Knox. She was in NXT, and they paired her up with Shotzi Blackheart on Smackdown. And then they split them up. Shotzi went to Smackdown. Tegan went to Monday Night Raw. And when the draft was over, we did not even see Tegan Knox appear on Monday Night Raw. And yet she gets released. But yet, Dana Brooke and Tamina are still there. I don't get it. Dana Brooke and Tamina still have a job there, and yet they release Tegan Knox. I don't fucking get it. And then Jackson Riker was released. When was the last time we saw Jackson Riker on TV? So there you go. Those were the 8 superstars that were released by WWE yesterday. And it sucks. I feel bad for them. But hopefully they find, jobs, whether it's on the indies, whether they go to Impact or AEW. Wherever they go, I wish them all nothing but the best. So, but it sucks. It absolutely fucking sucks. But anyways, let's jump right into the Smackdown review. So, Smackdown opened up tonight with the Usos, Jimmy and Jay. The Usos were in the ring, and there was a throne in there, and there was a velvet ring apron cover. We saw the crown, the scepter, and the robe that was worn by King Xavier Woods, King Woods. So the Usos end up giving a royal introduction to the tribal chief, Roman Reigns. So Roman Reigns end up coming out along with Paul Heyman. So Heyman and Reigns end up marching to the ring. And then Reigns and Paul Heyman got into the ring. Paul Heyman ended up getting on the mic. And Paul Heyman ended up saying that he's so overcome with emotion that Reigns and Heyman were in the ring. Heyman ended up getting on the mic. And he ended up saying that he's so overcome with emotion. He ended up telling Reigns that this has been in the works for him all week. he went on to say that no one in the history of WWE has deserved to be crowned king as much as the head of the table, the tribal chief, the tribal king, Roman Reigns. Heyman then went on to say that he knows in his heart, a little out of character, that everyone here will agree that the distinction of king certainly doesn't belong to Xavier Woods. He also ended up saying that it sure as hell won't ever belong to Brock Lesnar. And he also ended up saying that it won't belong to someone like Big E, who will be smashed by Roman at Survivor Series this Sunday. So then Reigns took the mic from Paul Heyman, as Paul Heyman ended up praising Reigns. So Reigns ended up asking, whose idea was this? Paul Heyman ended up pointing at both Jimmy and Jay. So Reigns ended up saying, this must be a joke, right? He ended up saying they don't really think he cares about or needs this stuff, and that he doesn't need this to be acknowledged. He puts in the hard work and earned the respect. So Reigns ended up telling Heartford to acknowledge him. So there were some people in the crowd were praising him. There were some that were booing him. So Reigns got a mixed reaction tonight. So Reigns ended up saying the only reason he took the crown last week is because he can. So then out came Xavier Woods. Xavier Woods ended up saying those items in the ring are his possession, but they do not make a true king. Woods ended up saying what makes a king is knowing that you're doing good for the WWE Universe. So Xavier Woods ended up saying that if Reigns was a king for what he did last week, he'd face him like a man and settle this man to man. So Xavier Woods ended up challenging Reigns to settle this like a man, without his goons, which he called them the Wet Bandits. So, he ended up saying that so he can show Reigns what a real king is made of. So Reigns ended up saying that he can't believe Xavier Woods doesn't care about his stuff, and that it means nothing to him. So Reigns then instructed Jay to throw the robe down. Reigns ended up stepping on it. Reigns ended up taunting Xavier Woods. He ended up saying, who says the clothes don't make a man? Reigns then ordered Jay to snap the scepter in two, which he did. So Reigns ended up asking Xavier Woods if he's sure. So then Reigns then ordered both Jimmy and Jay to slam the throne down and destroy it. So they end up destroying the throne. They end up tossing it out to the floor. Reigns ended up laughing at Xavier Woods, which Xavier looked unhappy with what he was seeing. With the robe being stepped on, the scepter being broken in two, and the throne being broke. So Woods was shown seated on the ramp, and Usos were going to destroy the crown, but Reigns ended up asking for it. Reigns then ended up holding up the crown. He ended up asking Woods one more time if he's sure it means nothing to him. Reigns ended up putting the crown down on the mat, and Reigns ended up teasing to stomp on the crown. But Xavier Woods ended up rushing into the ring. The Usos ended up beating Woods down. So Woods was double teamed by the Usos in the corner. The Usos ended up holding Xavier Woods down. Reigns was taunting Xavier Woods. He ended up telling Xavier Woods that he's the only king around here who doesn't need props because he's the one. So Reigns then ended up stomping on the crown. He ended up destroying it. So they ended up putting Woods back down, the Usos. And that was how the segment ended. The Bloodline ended up standing tall. And that was that. But overall, this segment was absolutely fucking terrible. God awful. As I was watching this segment, and I see Jey Uso stomping on the robe, him breaking the scepter in two, them destroying the throne, Reigns stepping on the crown. As I was watching this is WWE telling the fans that they didn't give a shit about the King of the Ring. That's what I saw when this was going down. WWE did not give a shit about this King of the Ring tournament. And that proved it right there with what we saw. With Jey Uso stepping on the robe, destroying the scepter, destroying the throne, and Reigns stepping on the crown. Absolutely fucking awful. It's what WWE thinks of the King of the Ring. King of the Ring meant fucking nothing after what we saw tonight. But awful fucking segment. And then we had a fatal four-way match. This was the first match of the night. Sheamus versus Cesaro versus Ricochet versus Jinder Mahal. The winner of the match gets to be on Team Smackdown for Survivor Series this Sunday. And this was a decent fatal four-way match. We had Sheamus end up coming out first. And then SmackDown went to commercial. And then when SmackDown came back from the commercial, Caleb Braxton was backstage with Xavier Woods. And he was just selling the beatdown by the Usos. And Caleb Braxton ended up asking Xavier Woods where he goes from here. And Xavier Woods ended up saying that he will be in the ring tonight as Roman will accept his challenge. And that he will make Reigns pay. Woods ended up saying that everyone knows the Roman Empire wasn't built in a day. But it will fall. So that was basically that. And then we went back to the ring. Ricochet ended up making his way out. Jinder Mahal and Cesaro were already in the ring. The match ended up started. Jinder ended up brawling with Cesaro, while Sheamus ended up dropping Ricochet, started stomping away at him in the corner. So Sheamus and Cesaro ended up facing off in the middle of the ring. Jinder Mahal ended up hitting Cesaro from behind. They started fighting. Sheamus ended up dropping Cesaro with a clothesline. And Ricochet started a load on Sheamus. But Sheamus ended up beating Ricochet down. Ricochet ended up countering the white noise from Sheamus. And he rolled up Sheamus for a 2 count. Jinder Mahal ended up dropping Ricochet with a kick to the face. And Jinder ended up stomping Ricochet while Cesaro started unloading on Sheamus in the corner. Sheamus and Jinder ended up double teaming on Cesaro. And we saw Shanky out there at ringside. Yes, Shanky was out there. Sheamus ended up tossing Cesaro out to the floor. He ended up helping Jinder with Ricochet. And Jinder ended up tossing Ricochet to the apron. And he set up for Sheamus to hit the 10 beats of the Boudron. And so Sheamus was just delivering shots to Ricochet. So at the end of the match, we had Ridge Holland end up coming out there. So we had Sheamus end up backdropping Cesaro to block the neutralizer. Cesaro ended up ducking a bro kick. He ended up rolling Sheamus up for a 2 count. Ridge Holland ended up getting on the apron. And he ended up swinging, and Cesaro ended up ducking at Ridge Holland. And he ended up going for Ridge Holland, but Holland ended up retreating back down. Sheamus ended up taking advantage of the distraction, and he leveled Cesaro out with a bro kick. And he went for the cover, and there you go. Sheamus ended up winning the match. So Sheamus is the final member to be on Team SmackDown at Survivor Series. Post-match, Ridge Holland ended up coming into the ring, celebrating with Sheamus. So, that was that. But overall, this was a decent Fatal 4-Way match, in my opinion. And then we had Caleb Braxton backstage with Jeff Hardy. Caleb Braxton ended up asking Jeff Hardy about how this year's Team Smackdown stacks up against past years. So Jeff Hardy ended up talking about teaming up with legends in the past. He then went on to praise Drew McIntyre, Xavier Woods, and Sheamus. And then he ended up talking about how Happy Corbin is out for himself, and you never know what will happen with him. And so then we had roll the clip. Yeah, the Joker and the Riddler, Corbin and Madcap Moss. They end up walking up to Jeff Hardy. So Moss ended up making a stupid joke on Jeff Hardy. Fucking god awful. And then Adam Pearce ended up walking up. Adam Pearce ended up saying that he wants Team SmackDown to win on Sunday. Wait a minute. Didn't 2 weeks ago on Monday Night Raw, Adam Pearce ended up saying, oh, he wants Team Raw to win. Don't let Team Raw down. And now, all of a sudden, he now wants SmackDown to win on Sunday? It's like WWE is trying to think that we forgot about that. That we forgot about Adam Pearce saying, oh, he wants Team Raw to win at Survivor Series. I didn't forget it. It's like WWE wants us to fucking forget that that was even said with Adam Pearce on Monday Night Raw 2 weeks ago, where he said he wanted Team Raw to win. So Adam Pearce ended up advising Corbin to act like a member of the team. He ended up saying that Moss is always laughing, but we'll see if he's laughing when he wrestles Jeff Hardy. So Jeff Hardy ended up busting out laughing at Moss, and that was that. So yeah, there we go. We're getting Jeff Hardy versus Madcap Moss, which we saw later on. And then we have Megan Moran backstage. Megan Moran was with Ridge Holland and Sheamus. Sheamus ended up telling Megan Moran that Ridge Holland believes in him. He ended up going on about how he inspired Ridge Holland to become a WWE superstar. Sheamus ended up saying, hearing Ridge say that brings a tear to his eye. So both of them were laughing. Ridge ended up saying that if it weren't for Sheamus, he'd still be broke in England, fighting bums on the street. He ended up saying that Sheamus is his idol, and if anyone else on SmackDown has a problem with what happened in the match, they know where to find him. So Sheamus got hyped up. He walked off with Ridge Holland, and both of them were headed to the bar. And that was that. And so then we had a video package for the match between Becky Lynch and Charlotte this Sunday at Survivor Series. Who cares? Who fucking cares? I don't even care about the match. And I know that there's backstage heat with Becky Lynch and Charlotte. And then we had Aliyah and Naomi versus Shayna Baszler and Natalya. So we have Aliyah and Naomi, two women that Sonya Deville doesn't like. Of course, Sonya Deville doesn't like Naomi. Sonya Deville ended up removing Aliyah from the Team Smackdown Women's Survivor Series team. So Aliyah ended up coming out first, and then Naomi. And then Shayna Baszler ended up wrapping up her entrance while Natalya was already in the ring. So the match started off with Aliyah and Natalya. Both women end up locking up. Natalya ended up delivering a right hand to Aliyah. Aliyah ended up coming back and delivered some takedowns. And we had Aliyah end up coming off the top, taking Natalya down with a Hurricanrana. Shayna Baszler and Naomi, they both end up coming into the ring. Aliyah and Naomi end up taking down Shayna Baszler and Natalya. They were throwing some right hands at them. Shayna Baszler ended up countering a move by Naomi, and she ended up going into the care for the clutch. She ended up locking the care for the clutch on Naomi. But Naomi ended up sending Shayna Baszler into the corner. So we had Shayna Baszler end up slamming Naomi by her hair. Natalya ended up coming in. And then the referee does a speedy 3 count. So Natalya and Shayna Baszler end up winning the match. And everyone was confused at how that woman referee ended up speeding the 3 count. So overall, this match was terrible. God awful. And then Naomi and Aliyah were still in the ring. They were confused at what happened. And then we had Jeff Hardy versus Madcap Moss, the Riddler. This was fucking awful. This match was awful. Jeff Hardy ended up coming out. He posed on the ramp. He got pyro. He was greeting fans at ringside. And then SmackDown went to commercial. So we had Sami Zayn as SmackDown came back from the commercial. Sami Zayn was backstage with Sonya Deville. Sami Zayn was upset about being removed from Team SmackDown. So Sonya Deville ended up saying that Survivor Series marks The Rock's 25th anniversary when he debuted at Survivor Series 1996. She ended up saying that she's going to hold a 25-man battle royal. And if Sami Zayn wins, his name will be associated with The Rock. Really? Really now? God. 25-man battle royal. Man, that's going to be a bathroom break match there. So we had the referee who was refereeing the Aliyah and Naomi, Natalya, and Shayna Baszler match. The referee ended up walking up to Sonya Deville, and she ended up asking Sonya Deville if she did a good job, referring to the quick pin. So Sonya Deville ended up lashing out at her. She ended up saying that she doesn't associate with crooked referees. Sonya Deville ended up telling her to leave. And the referee ended up leaving. So Sonya Deville wasn't happy about that. So then we went back to the ring. Out came the Riddler, Madcap Moss, along with Corbin, the Joker. So Jeff Hardy ended up getting on the mic. He ended up saying that the odds aren't in his favor. So if Moss is going to have someone in his corner, so should Jeff Hardy. So out came Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre came out, of course, raised Angela, his sword, in the air, got pyro. So he was posing out there. He had more pyro. And then the match got underway. Jeff Hardy ended up getting slammed to the mat by Moss. Moss delivered some knees to Jeff Hardy's ribs. Moss delivered a right hand to drop Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy ended up catching Moss with a jawbreaker. Jeff Hardy then dropped the atomic drop and a double leg takedown and a leg drop, basement drop kick on Moss. Jeff Hardy then went for the twist of fate. He ended up going up to the top to deliver the Swanton Bomb. So Corbin was looking to distract Jeff Hardy, and McIntyre ended up launching Corbin over the announce table. Moss ended up going for a suplex in the middle of the ring, but Jeff Hardy ended up countering. He ended up rolling Moss up, and there you go. Jeff Hardy ended up winning the match. Post-match, Corbin ended up coming into the ring. McIntyre ended up leveling Corbin with a Claymore. Moss also got leveled by McIntyre. McIntyre ended up hitting the Glasgow Kiss headbutt on Moss. So Jeff Hardy ended up going back up to the top. He delivers the Swanton Bomb on Moss, and that was that. Overall, awful match. God awful. So then we saw Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman was backstage. He was on the phone. He was telling someone on the phone that the tribal chief does not like surprises. So Kayla Braxton ended up walking up to Paul Heyman. She ended up scaring Paul Heyman. And she ended up asking Paul Heyman if he heard the challenge that Xavier Woods ended up making earlier. Paul Heyman ended up saying that he is tired of people saying that Roman Reigns needs the Usos around him, because he doesn't. And he doesn't need his counsel around either. So Paul Heyman ended up saying that if Woods wants to challenge Reigns or call his bluff just hours before Roman smashes Big E, then challenge accepted. So Paul Heyman ended up walking off, and that was that. And then we had Shinsuke Nakamura versus Angel Garza. This match was boring. Match was awful. Rick Boogs ended up coming out, doing, of course, his introduction to Nakamura. And Smackdown went to commercial as Nakamura ended up making his way out. And then when Smackdown came back from the commercial, Humberto Carrillo and Angel Garza were in the ring. Los Lotharios. So the match ended up starting. Angel Garza ended up attacking Nakamura off of a distraction. So Nakamura ended up fighting back, delivering some knees to Garza. Garza ended up ducking a kick from Nakamura. Nakamura ended up kicking Garza into the corner, starting loaded with some boots to Garza's head. Nakamura then ended up taking Garza down. He came off the second rope, but Garza ended up kicking Nakamura in midair. We had Nakamura end up leaping from the apron out to the floor with a flying knee onto Garza. So Nakamura ended up bringing Garza back to the ring. Humberto Carrillo ended up holding on Nakamura's leg. Boogs then ended up coming over. He ended up grabbing Humberto with the gut wrench. Boogs ended up manhandling Humberto Carrillo at ringside. Boogs ended up slamming him down on the floor. Nakamura then went for the Kinshasa on Garza. And there you go. Nakamura ended up winning the match. Post-match, Carrillo ended up running to the ring. He ended up attacking Nakamura from behind. And he then retreated out to the floor to join Garza on the ramp. And that was that. Overall, terrible match. And then we saw Sasha Banks and Shotzi backstage. They were facing off. Sonya Deville ended up getting in between them. Shotzi ended up saying that Sasha is a petty, vindictive little brat. She ended up saying that she never forgets when she gets screwed over and that payback is a bit, which Sasha ended up cutting her off. Ended up saying that if she had a nickel for every time someone tried to make a name off her, she'd be rich. And Sasha was like, oh, I am rich. So Sasha ended up bragging about being the Team Smackdown captain, saying no one would know of Shotzi if it weren't for Sasha. Sasha went on to say that she's right. Payback is a bitch. And so is she. So Sonya Deville ended up interrupting. She ended up saying that they can settle it in the ring. And she expects them to be on the same page after the match is over. Which is WWE, once again, is like, oh, can Shotzi and Sasha coexist? What is it with WWE and, them saying, oh, can these women or men coexist? So then we had Shotzi versus Sasha Banks. This was a decent match here. We had Sasha end up coming out first. And SmackDown went to commercial. Then when SmackDown came back, Shotzi was out there. Match ended up starting. Both Shotzi and Sasha ended up going back and forth. Shotzi ended up shoving Sasha, and Sasha ended up shoving Shotzi back. They ended up grabbing each other by the hair. Shotzi delivered a kick to Sasha. Sasha ended up nailing the suplex to Shotzi. And Sasha ended up holding the suplex. She ended up nailing the Three Amigos in tribute to, of course, Eddie Guerrero. So that got the fans chanting Eddie. So Sasha ended up going to the top to deliver the frog splash. She had to land on her feet because Shotzi ended up moving out of the way. Shotzi ended up sending Sasha to the apron. As Sasha ended up fighting back, she ended up nailing a knee to Shotzi's mouth from the apron. So Sasha ended up missing the meteor from the apron as Shotzi ended up moving. Shotzi ended up sending Sasha into the ring steps, and she ended up trapping Sasha's arm in the steps, and Shotzi ended up stomping on the steps over and over while Sasha's arm was still in the steps. So Shotzi got back to the ring. Shotzi then howled as she went back out to the floor. Sasha was shown clutching her arm. So Shotzi ended up bringing Sasha back into the ring. She went for the cover. Sasha ended up kicking out too. So Sasha ended up countering with a roll-up for a 2 count. Shotzi then ended up sending her back out to the floor. And Sasha ended up countering with a kick to Shotzi's face. And that led to Sasha nailing the meteor from the apron on Shotzi on the floor. But at the end of the match, we had Sasha end up using her leg to lock in the bank statement on Shotzi. So Shotzi ended up tapping out. So there you go. Sasha ended up winning the match. Post-match, we had Shotzi and Sasha end up standing in the middle of the ring. Sonya Deville ended up coming out to the stage. Sasha ended up offering her hand for a shake. Shotzi ended up shaking it. And Sasha ended up pulling her in for the backstabber. And Sasha was all smiles as she ended up heading up the ramp. Sasha ended up telling Sonya Deville that she did shake her hand. And she will see them on Sunday. So that was that. But overall, decent match. And then we had the Bloodline backstage. Roman Reigns ended up asking Paul Heyman if it's time. And it is time. So they ended up getting up to leave. Reigns ended up telling the Usos that he's just going to do this one by himself. So he left the Usos in the suite, in the locker room. And that was that. And then we had a coming soon vignette for Xia Li. And this whole vignette was a comic vignette which told Xia Li's story of her growing up with her family and her father passing away and their landlord kicked them out on the street. And it was up to her to defend the family. And she did it by taking out the landlord. And we saw Xia Li backstage throwing some strikes. And she ended up saying that she is her father's daughter. And she is her family's protector. All I see is Xia Li being on TV, and then she'll be taken off and be in catering. That's what I see WWE doing with Xia Li. How many weeks after Xia Li's debut does Vincent Bruce, grow tired of her? I give it 3 weeks. But I like the comic style vignette that was done here for Xia Li. They all look cool. And then we had Kayla Braxton. Kayla Braxton was backstage with Toni Storm. Now Toni Storm is on Team Smackdown for the women's team at Survivor Series. Toni Storm ended up saying that she is so excited to represent SmackDown after represented Team NXT at Survivor Series a few years back in 2019. So we ended up seeing how Toni Storm confronted Charlotte last week. Toni Storm ended up saying that Charlotte is consumed with her match against Becky Lynch, which is understandable. But Toni Storm ended up saying that Charlotte will be vulnerable when she loses on Sunday, and her ego won't be able to handle that. Toni Storm ended up saying that Charlotte is going to come at her guns blazing, and that she's not afraid of Charlotte, like some might be. And while Charlotte will want to take her loss out on Toni Storm, all Toni Storm ended up saying that she wants is a title shot. So Charlotte ended up walking up to her. She ended up saying that after she proves her superiority over Becky Lynch and beats the crap out of her, Toni Storm will be next. So Charlotte ended up saying that she won't give Toni Storm, but she will give her a match. So Charlotte ended up saying that she will do to Storm what she does to Becky on Sunday. So that was that. And then we had Xavier Woods, King Woods. He ended up coming out, and Woods ended up calling out Roman Reigns. He got a pop for shouting out the Heartford crowd. Xavier Woods ended up saying that he's here to find out if Reigns is a man. So Woods ended up recalling how he hit his big elbow drop on Reigns last week. And then the Usos showed up and the match ended in a no contest. So Woods ended up saying that means the Tribal Chief cannot beat Xavier Woods on his own. So Woods ended up saying that if that makes Reigns feel some kind of way, bring your ass to the ring and prove me wrong. So out came Roman Reigns along with Paul Heyman. So we ended up seeing the Usos getting thrown out from backstage. So we saw both Jimmy and Jay end up getting thrown out from the back. So, we had Roman like, oh, what's going on? Like he had a what's going on look on his face. So then Big E ended up coming out, which was no surprise to me because I knew that Big E was going to appear on SmackDown and he was going to have a little brawl with Roman. So Reigns ended up meeting Big E on the ramp. Both of them started brawling. Big E ended up sending Reigns into the ring steps and then into the barricade. Big E ended up tossing Reigns into the ring, and Woods ended up stomping on Reigns. So Woods and Big E were stomping away on Reigns to keep him down. Both Jimmy and Jay ended up coming into the ring. Big E ended up nailing a big ending to, I think it was maybe Jey Uso. And Woods ended up taking Jimmy out with a big boot. So Big E ended up delivering a big ending also again. Woods ended up running the ropes. He ended up leaping out to the floor. He ended up taking out both the Usos. Big E then turned around, and Roman then laid Big E out with the Superman punch. Reigns was waiting in the corner as Big E was trying to make his way back up to his feet. Reigns then ended up charging for the spear, and Big E ended up scooping him up for the big ending, which Reigns ended up sliding out of. He retreated out to the floor. So we had Reigns ended up yelling out while he was backing up the ramp. So pretty much that was basically how SmackDown ended tonight. Big E ended up raising the title. He was talking trash to Reigns. So that was how SmackDown's Survivor Series Go Home show ended tonight. But overall, SmackDown tonight, terrible. God-awful show. Did nothing to hype up Survivor Series. This has been the worst Survivor Series build that WWE has done. The absolute worst. Now we're moving on to AEW Rampage, which this show tonight was a good show. Really enjoyed Rampage tonight. A lot better than Smackdown. We had Darby Allin versus Billy Gunn. We had the quarterfinals match in the TBS Women's Championship tournament. Jade Cargill versus Red Velvet. We had Adam Cole and Bobby Fish teaming up to take on the Jurassic Express, Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. It was good to see Adam Cole and Bobby Fish team up, which that was the main event. But Rampage, like I said, was a good show tonight. But Rampage opened up with Darby Allin versus Billy Gunn. And this was a pretty good match here. Match started off with Darby Allin and Billy Gunn locking up. Billy Gunn ended up sending Darby Allin to the corner, and he hoisted Darby Allin up on the top rope. So we had another lockup with Billy Gunn slamming Darby Allin into the canvas. Billy Gunn later on ended up heading out of the ring. He ended up flinging Darby Allin towards the ring. Billy Gunn ended up rolling Darby Allin back into the ring, and then Billy Gunn ended up locking eyes on Sting, who was also out there. So Billy Gunn was in control of the match. Darby Allin was laid flat on the mat, and Billy Gunn was looking pleased. So Darby Allin got back up. He was starting to bite Billy Gunn. Billy Gunn then ended up falling to the mat. So Darby Allin then turned his attention over to Austin and Colton. He ended up launching off the ring post and delivered a huge coffin drop. And Darby Allin ended up doing two more coffin drops onto Billy Gunn. He went for the cover, and there you go. Darby Allin ended up winning the match. Post-match, we had both Austin and Colton. They ended up rushing into the ring to beat down on Darby Allin. Sting ended up trying to break things up. Billy Gunn then ended up chop blocking Sting, allowing for Austin and Colton to beat up on both Darby Allin and Sting. And pretty much that was basically that. But overall, this was a good match. Darby Allin and Billy Gunn, both of them did a good job in this match. The wrestling was very good. I'm a fan of Darby Allin. He's my top favorite superstar in AEW. Just the guy is awesome whenever he has a match. Whenever he goes out there, he puts on a very good match. So in Billy Gunn, at his age, he still got it. He still got the moves in the ring. But overall, good match. And then we had a look back at MJF and CM Punk's confrontation from Dynamite on Wednesday. Of course, we're going to be getting MJF versus CM Punk. That's going to be interesting to see. And then we had QT Marshall backstage. QT Marshall ended up saying that he wants to fight CM Punk in his hometown next week. So it's going to be in Chicago. So that was that. So QT Marshall wants a match with CM Punk. Of course, we all know CM Punk will be winning the match. And then we had the quarterfinals match in the TBS Women's Championship Tournament. Jade Cargill versus Red Velvet. Mark Sterling was out there alongside Jade Cargill. And this was a decent matchup here. Jade Cargill, she was utilizing her strength, hoisting up Red Velvet in a choke bomb. Red Velvet ended up escaping, and Jade Cargill ended up delivering a fallaway slam to Red Velvet. Jade Cargill ended up staying on Red Velvet with a pump handle face plant. Red Velvet end up pulling Jade Cargill up in a waistlock. Cargill end up escaping to the outside. Red Velvet end up taking a strike from Jade Cargill when she end up diving to the outside. Cargill then delivered a chokeslam on the apron to Red Velvet. And both Jade Cargill and Red Velvet were in the ring. Cargill ended up holding Red Velvet in the corner, started choking Velvet. Red Velvet ended up firing back with a kick, and she ended up escaping out of Cargill's finisher, the Jaded. So Cargill ended up evading the final slice. He ended up turning it into Jaded. So Cargill ended up getting the win. So Jade Cargill ends up moving on in the semifinals in the tournament. So Jade Cargill will either face Thunder Rosa or Jamie Hayter in the semifinals. So Thunder Rosa and Jamie Hayter are having their match this Wednesday on Dynamite. So whoever wins, Jade Cargill will face. I'm going with Thunder Rosa. But I said in my Dynamite review, when I mentioned about this match, Jade Cargill, Red Velvet, I want the Red Velvet to win because I don't see Jade Cargill winning the TBS Women's Championship. It's going to Ruby Soho. And I think Jade Cargill is going to be the next AEW Women's World Champion. Whether she defeats Britt Baker, we all know that's going to be coming. They're setting up, Jade Cargill is going to be the AEW Women's World Champion after Britt Baker. So I see that happening. And I think that will happen in the new year. I think Jade Cargill will be the AEW Women's World Champion in 2022. But Jade Cargill, I will rather see her face Thunder Rosa. And I know Thunder Rosa is going to win the match this Wednesday on Dynamite. I don't see Jamie Hayter winning it unless she gets help from Rebel or Britt Baker, if they're out there. But I think Thunder Rosa is going to be winning the match. So I think it will be Jade Cargill and Thunder Rosa in the semifinals. So Thunder Rosa then ended up cutting a little promo saying that she's going to conquer Jamie Hayter this Wednesday. So I see her win the match. And then they announced, Tony Khan ended up announcing that he has added CM Punk versus QT Marshall for the Thanksgiving special for Dynamite, which is this Wednesday, Thanksgiving Eve. So CM Punk ended up cutting a promo. He ended up saying that QT Marshall better come prepared to square off in his backyard. So that was that. And then we had what we're going to see next week on Rampage that they went over. It's going to be Eddie Kingston versus Daniel Garcia. Eddie Kingston is going to be winning that match. I'm predicting that. And then they also announced that Winter is coming. It will return on December 15th. So that Dynamite is going to be Winter is Coming. So, and then we had the main event. Adam Cole and Bobby Fish versus the Jurassic Express, Jungle Boy, and Luchasaurus. It was good seeing Adam Cole and Bobby Fish team up again. Former members of the Undisputed Era when they were a part of NXT. So it was awesome to see them, teaming up again, both Adam Cole and Bobby Fish. So the match going the way with Adam Cole and Jungle Boy locking up. Jungle Boy ended up grabbing a hold of Adam Cole in the corner, started throwing some right hands. Jungle Boy ended up sending Adam Cole with a springboard arm drag. Adam Cole ended up dragging Jungle Boy to the corner, He ended up tagging in Bobby Fish. Bobby Fish ended up flinging Jungle Boy to the corner. And Jungle Boy ended up hitting another springboard arm drag to Bobby Fish. Jungle Boy then tagged in Luchasaurus. Luchasaurus ended up connecting a chop to Bobby Fish. Bobby Fish ended up throwing some strikes at Luchasaurus. Luchasaurus ended up taking back in Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy ended up planting a delayed senton for a 2 count. So Adam Cole then ended up interfering. He was helping Bobby Fish keep Jungle Boy down. So we had later on Adam Cole ended up heading up for the Panama Sunrise. Jungle Boy ended up ducking, and Adam Cole ended up slamming right into Luchasaurus. So Luchasaurus ended up slamming Adam Cole. Jungle Boy ended up heading for a cover, and Bobby Fish ended up breaking it up. Bobby Fish ended up taking himself in. He ended up applying the Dragon Screw onto Jungle Boy, and it didn't work. So Jungle Boy ended up delivering a belly-to-belly suplex onto Bobby Fish. So then we saw Matt and Nick Jackson, the Young Bucks. Both of them headed down the ramp. They end up walking right up to Luchasaurus. So the Bucks were looking to interfere in the match. And then all we see is Christian Cage. He ended up coming out with a chair. He was chasing the Bucks around the ring, and also Adam Cole off. So Adam Cole got out of the ring. So Bobby Fish was the only one that was left in the ring. He was left in the ring with Jungle Boy. So Jungle Boy ended up locking in the snare trap on Bobby Fish. And Bobby Fish had no choice but to tap out. So we heard Adam Cole was like, "Oh, don't tap, don't tap." So we had just Jungle Boy locking in the snare trap. Bobby Fish had to tap out. So the Jurassic Express ended up winning the match. Overall, this was a good matchup here. It was good seeing Adam Cole and Bobby Fish team up again. So brought back, memories of them when they were in the Undisputed Era. So it was cool. But overall, Rampage was a good show tonight. But anyways, that's it for my review of both Smackdown and AEW Rampage. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe. Be sure to check out my Dynamite review if you guys haven't seen it yet. It's up on my channel. Uploaded today. So give that a watch if you guys haven't seen it. But until then, I'll see you all later.